disappointed. Just felt like, for the most part, I thought we were in quicksand the whole night. But Jacksonville played really well. The Pierre kid is, pretty good. Thought he did a really good job. He shot the ball well. In terms of a perimeter player, probably the, best, to me, the best one we played against all year in terms of that translating to, making some money. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily talking about, a college guard. I'm talking about a guy that, got good size, got good athleticism, score on all three levels. He did that. Was really impressed, by that. So, it happens, and it's unfortunate that we played this way this evening. But I don't want to take away from what the guys have done to put themselves back in position, and I'm happy and proud of them for that. We didn't end the year off on a great note, but hopefully moving forward as we move into the spring, summer, this motivate guys. And one of the biggest things that I told the guys to come back, man, it's time to do everything like a winner, man. You got to train like a winner. You got to eat like a winner. When you moving in the streets, you got to move like a winner. You got to always have your chest out. You got to exude confidence in the next man. And so for me, that's how I feel. I think that, we were under siege so much this season, trying to keep our head above water, and not drown. We did a good job of doing that. But now, I thought we learned how to fight. I thought guys learned how to prepare. I think at times, and we had some big wins to show, we learned how to win. But now it's time to, everything you do you gotta do it like a winner. I mean that. Like, you gotta do it like a winner. When I was in college and I told them, sophomore year we lost to Santa Clara. I think it was the first time 2 lost to 15. And the media was on us. Where I went to school, it was a fishbowl. And people were upset. People were mad. They wanted Lute Olson gone. It's crazy as it sounds, but it was what it was. And, as a team, we took pride in our spring. We took pride in our summer. We took pride in what we did. Everything we did, we did it together. We lifted weights together. We ate together. We trained on the floor together. We talked when we wasn't together. And you guys know how hard it was to talk then because there wasn't no cell phones. It wasn't none of that. It wasn't none of that. We communicated on the regular phone, like we was locked in, like because we came back and we wanted to do something special, and that group was the best group I ever been with because of that. It wasn't the most talented group, but it was the best group, because everybody was bought in and everybody was locked in. And that's what I told guys. Like, stuff like this, it got to pain you. It got to hurt. Because moving forward, like, we gotta be better in these games. We can't just play to the level of our opponent, or we can't just come in the gym and think because we're tech and schools are mid-major that, they just gonna roll over, because it don't work that way. It just don't work that way anymore. And so that's what we got to get better at. That's where I got to get better at getting these guys better at that. And that's what I talk to them about. And it's about a mentality, and it's going to be a day one mentality, because next year starts tomorrow for me. And there's just things that I'm just not going to accept no more. And what I'm not going to accept is just a team that's collectively, because it's not about one individual. It's collective effort. A team that collectively is not going to be mentally prepared for each moment. Good, bad, whatever that entails. You got to be mentally prepared. You got to be locked in. And if you're not locked in, you can't play. That's the demand. That's what it has to be. So everything that we did, I'm proud. I'm happy because they had a chance to go the other way, and they didn't. And we all know that there's a lot of people and a lot of programs around the country this year where coaches wish they could get it back, and teams didn't play the way they wanted or they didn't play as hard as they wanted. I can't say that about these guys. But what I can say about this group is where we got to get better is we got to get better mentally. And we got to get better with that because it allows you to play games like you played tonight. And even if you don't win, even if you don't have your A game, you're still able to stay in the game. Because as the game goes on, you just never know what's going to happen. And that's the mentality that we got to have. Like this spring, this summer, it got to hurt. When you leave the weight room, it got to hurt. When you leave the gym, your wrist got to be locked because you shot too much. Game shots, game speed. I don't care about the rest of it. I don't got pros on my team yet. So you know what? You're not good enough to shoot on the gun. You need passes. That's what I'm talking about. It's preparing to win. And if you're not going to go in the gym and shoot 100 game speed, game rep jump shots, and you can only shoot 10, well, shoot 10 and put the ball down. Because if you're not doing the game speed, game reps, then you're creating bad habits. And that's the mentality that each player has to have if he wants to be in my program moving forward.
Questions?
Guys we talked to said they felt like they didn't execute the game plan. Was that more a result of the way Jacksonville played or the way your team played, do you think?
I don't think we had legs. I think that was a big part of it. But what happens is when you don't got legs, your mind is telling your body what to do. That's my point. That's what I'm talking about. You got to train like a winner. Because we all get tired, and our body going to tell us to quit. Our body going to tell us, nah, I'm going to take this shortcut. I'm gonna do. So it's not about not executing the game plan. That's on me. It's on me to get these guys mentally tough. That's what it is. It's a focus. It's a toughness. That's all it is. It's a toughness. Man, I never forget this. Because y'all watched the game, right? Game 4, Boston against Golden State, 2022 finals. We're up in that series 2-1. It's 3.5 minutes to go. All we got to do is get a couple stops. Steph Curry wasn't playing his best in that game, but you know what he did? He hit the biggest shots. It's mental toughness, man. It's not about not executing the game plan. I don't care about the game plan. There was other games where we didn't execute the game plan. We still figured it out. But what we got to do is that's the next phase. That's the next phase to winning. Being mentally tough. That's the next phase to winning. And it just hasn't, on a consistent basis from our guys, it hasn't been demanded like that before. But it will be moving forward.
Do you feel like you're missing that alpha dog personality, like the Pierre kid today for them? He was a dog and just kind of lifted all the guys around him and wanted to win the most on the court. You could see it in the way the guy was playing. And it seems like maybe that's you need that alpha personality guy. It doesn't seem like maybe that's the missing piece. Is that something that you it seems like from what you're talking about, you're missing some of that element with your team, and that's what you're looking to build.
Well, you like what you have, but obviously we trying to compete for ACC championships and get to the NCAA tournament, just to start, so obviously you got to keep getting better. So the team is void of certain things, and we just got to get better. the thing about it is when we start using the term dog and all that stuff, like, it's not an indictment on my team. I like the guys on my team, so I don't really get into all that. But we just have to get a mentality, because what happens is that an alpha mentality doesn't have to be the best player on the team. You want it to be, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to be someone that's going to do the right thing each and every day and hold each other accountable. To me, that's what alpha is, period. You know what I mean? So that's more so of mindset. And do we need a different mindset? Yes. Do we need to add pieces? Yes. But right now, no different than how we were this year. And I don't want to have to do this moving forward, hopefully. But, each player tell you, when we came back from Christmas, I broke every huddle that we had for the rest of the year, because I felt like I had to lead them guys because they didn't know we were drowning. We were drowning, and I felt like they needed someone to lead them, so I had to lead them. And so moving forward, we'll try to find, guys that can lead, but at the same time, too, the guys that we bring back, they got to develop that mentality as well.
What's the immediate future look like for you in terms of getting on the road and maybe hosting guys? And are you taking some time off or trying to build that roster as soon as possible?
Nah, I don't have time to take. I don't have a lot of time to take time off. I wouldn't mind taking time off, but that's just not the landscape we're in. Excuse me. It's really weird. It's really weird. And I think at some point, the old college handbook, has to be rewritten, and I would say probably at some point. It will be. I probably won't be coaching, probably won't be around. But it's weird to me that we talk about the portal, all the kids. Now we can go watch JUCO kids. JUCO kids have their extra years, but we can't go live scout. You should be able to, just like in the NBA, you should have someone on your staff that's able to go and watch games all year round of guys in conferences. That's where we at, right? And so I think like we got all these rules, but they don't add up. And each guy, and it's messed up. I feel bad for high school kids, because what happens is they get thrown to the back burner, but right now, those are the only kids we can actually go out and watch. So to me, in order to get a portal kid, like the portal is about the trickiest thing I've ever seen, right? Because you don't actually know who you're getting. And you have to figure out who you can talk to about that kid. So we'll bring some kids on. Obviously, we'll figure some things out, we have needs and things, but, it's just the dynamic of it is so crazy because, watching film, but then watching a guy play live, it's totally different, as we've seen tonight. You know what I mean? So, that to me is the tricky thing, and then getting the right information. I think that, we've all in the past tried to hold information, but at the end of the day, like, because somebody didn't work for you don't mean he can't work for me. And so you can give me all the real information, you just know what you're dealing with. I'd rather just know what I'm dealing with than not know what I'm dealing with. And so there's just a lot of things that go into the portal and go into, trying to figure everything out. And, obviously the last part is, what makes sense, economically. So what is it that you value, and how much do you value that player for? And I always tell people, it's funny because it gets back to the old NBA model. And, I've been a player, and, when you in free agency, you always find out how much a team likes you. And, I've been told before, I like you, but I like you for this number. Right? I like you for this number. And another team might value you a little more and say, I like you for this number. So now you have to make an educated decision, because sometimes playing for less can mean more, and getting more can mean less. It's just a matter of, what it is that you feel like you need at the time. So it's so tricky, with everything that's going on. But at the same time, you still got to, go out and recruit and find guys and do different things. So, yeah, we'll get into all that. And, we'll start tomorrow. We're trying to do some things to see, to see how we can start moving forward, because I think the portal opens here. The portal opens in another 6 days, I think it is. So.
Time for a couple more. We'll go Reggie.
Coach, was it something that you saw tonight that really was kind of the final nail in the coffin, you saying this is where you need to draw the line of being tougher on your guys, or is it something you've seen all year? Because, they the other day talked about how we need to lock in. We got to not be late to meetings, not be late to stuff. It feels like they might know, but how do you kind of get that across to them? Is it something you saw tonight, or what was it?
No, my words don't have nothing to do about tonight. I just, this game, we could have won and moved on and played. I feel the way I feel because that's just where we at. Going into year 3, man, that's where we at. Like it's accountability now. It's different things. It's not enough to be like my bad no more. Like you gotta own it. We all gotta own it. But in order to win, like if they don't know, I gotta show them. And so that's what I'm talking about. You gotta have the characteristics, and the traits to win. But it all starts with your habits, and you gotta train like a winner. You gotta do things to exhaustion. You can't do things until you're tired. I never trained like that. And so my thing is that as an athlete, I know exactly what a high-level athlete looks like. So I want high-level athletes, and so that's kind of more so what I'm talking about. And it didn't have nothing to do with the game this evening. Again, we look like we played in quicksand tonight. The main guys didn't play, the way they've played, but it happens. So it just so happened that this is our last game. But that mentality, if you have the mentality of what I'm talking about, in spite of a loss, you could still be in the game and have an opportunity to win the game. So, the Jacksonville State played well, and, I give them credit, but for us, I want to, as we move forward, these are the things that I feel like I need to do in order to enhance my team and enhance my program.
Randy, did you have one?
It seems in the current system, what you alluded to be so hard to judge, like the portal people. Do they have those qualities potentially that you're going after? How do you ascertain that?
So
nowadays?
where the portal get tricky and the evaluation get tricky is you have to really rely on some type of system that you have. You have to value things that you value, and you can't deviate from what you value, because usually when you deviate from what you value, it doesn't work. The second piece to that, I think, is now you have to weigh, a mid-major kid against a high-major kid. So you got to weigh a mid-major kid that's getting numbers versus a high-major kid that might be playing a lot, and he just haven't had the opportunity. So where I'm going with that is the mid-major kid that's high usage better for you than this guy over here that might go to say a top 25 school, top 50 school, but he's transferring. Now you got to find out, well, why is his usage low? He's playing 20 minutes a game, but why is his usage low? Is it because he's a good kid, bad kid? Is it because he has some weaknesses in his game? Or is it just because it's not his time yet, and when this dude leaves, he going to step right in and be that guy? Because we have a lot of those examples. We got examples from both sides, whether it's a mid-major that averages a lot of points or a high major player that's a rotation player, but he doesn't have a big role, but he transfers to another high major and he has success. We have examples on both sides where they've worked and where they failed. So I think those are the things that I'm talking about. You have to figure that out. And you think about, it's like within our conference, I think we have, from the standpoint of recruiting, the portal, we have one of weirder conferences because there's a lot of in-conference transfers. And, Clemson has Zachary. He's, been phenomenal for them. You know what I mean? And, it's right there. And, his numbers at BC was solid, but they did their homework. And when you look at the kid, he's solid, number one. He looks like he's high character, number two. And he looks like he's about winning, number three. And number four, which is probably the biggest thing, is he's been through some wars. He has toughness, and he's a little older. So, those are all things that, again, you have to weigh within this process.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
My man right here, he put his hand up. I'll take his question because he.
Thanks, Coach.
I was just going to ask you to give us a quick, finishing year two, give us a quick summary of the maturation of Nate George from day one to tonight, please.
Nate is, he's from a basketball standpoint, he's matured a lot. I think that, from when I put him in the lineup against Mississippi State, to where he is today, he's really grown as a player. I think that, he's grown into not only a good player for our team, but one of the better point guards in the conference. And I think that he just needs to keep evolving, and he'll be one of the better point guards in the country. I think the next step for him is, quite frankly, he gotta be an asshole. I don't think he has, and I've told him this, so I'm not ashamed to say this. I said, man, you have to develop characteristics of a point guard. And so as a point guard, like I was never the most liked guy on the team, because you got to be willing to slap somebody, if that's the case, to get him to do what you want to do. But now you have to do that same thing every day. And so what I always tell him, and I try to give him examples of, is that when it's not going well for you, it still got to go well for everybody else. Because now you can get lost in the game, and then you can get your game back because the ball's in your hands, so you don't got to worry about doing you. That's the beauty of the position. That's the beauty of him, and that's what I've had so much fun with him on, because I think the first 2 years he been trying to figure out who he is as a player, rightfully so. But it's time to figure out how to make Bai better when he struggled, right? How to get Duncan going, how to help Jay Mustaf on the floor, how to help Sutton on the floor. Like, this is that's the next step of who he needs to become. But who he was from when he walked in the door, from a guy who had one scholarship offer, and he was going to Seattle University before he came here. I think he's been phenomenal, and I think he's on pace to, be in a lot of the record books here at Tech. From the standpoint of, the things that he does well on the floor, and I just see him continuing to grow. Because he took a big jump. And I say in the last 2 months he took a really big jump. So I'm excited to continue to see his growth and help him become the player he wants to be. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.